Blog Talk Radio.
You are listening to Nat Turner Library Radio, featuring authors Michael Muhammad and Khalifa Muhammad. Nat Turner Library Radio.
You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. If you are offended by black people discussing our suffering, black people discussing our struggle, and black people talking about solutions to our problems, then this show is not for you. You have been warned. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I'm your host, Brother Michael Muhammad, executive producer, author, but first and foremost, I want to be known as your brother. Tonight's subject, message to the black pastor in the time of war. Are you responsible for murdering black people? We'll explain the subject. We'll explain that title. Brothers and sisters, we're going to interview a great man, a man who we share common thought, author of the book, The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger, by Dr. Neal Jackson, also known as Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, a great brother, a spiritually minded brother. He is the founder of the Spiritually United African Nation Church, and this is a brother who had one of the best African wedding ceremonies that I was a part of just a couple of years ago. We thank Allah for the opportunity tonight to share some great information with him. And I first and foremost want to talk to you tonight and let you know that tonight's subject, message to the black pastor in the time of war, we're going to discuss the theological differences between a free, liberated man and one who's still in chains. This is, of course, the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. First and foremost, let me greet the audience properly in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful God, the one God who did appear to us in the person of a well-made man who came 9,000 miles by himself from the holy city of Mecca to teach the black man and woman of North America and the native man of North America and the world the knowledge of the God. That's the knowledge of the 66 trillion year hidden history of the original God himself. That is knowledge of the God and knowledge of our enemy. I speak none other than the founder and the great, wise, supreme scientist, Master Wali Fard Muhammad. We thank Allah forever for that womb that gave birth to him. We thank him for leaving a witness bearer, the exalted Christ, one who we know was sent here to the hell of North America to deliver a weighty message, and that is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I thank them both for leaving an extension of mercy to America. The final and the most divine warner we have amongst us today, my teacher and guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who we had the pleasure of hearing from this Eid morning. We thank Allah for them. It is in their mighty names that I greet the listening audience of the Nat Turner Library Radio Show in the words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. That just simply means may peace be unto you in that most ancient language. To my Hebrew family, we say Shalom alaikum. Habaragani to my Pan-Africanist family. Hotep to the Kemetic Science brothers and sisters that are listening. my Nawapian Sabian brothers and sisters here in Atlanta, Brother Amungeb Mayat, Sister Mayat Rae K. Atum Rae, and Sister Attorney Patricia Bashad, the Sabian family, Rahubat, to Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, Chairman Hashim Akhenaten Nzinga, and the Black Panther National Spokesperson, Sister Yah Sentawa. We want to say Black Power to you, to my 5% Nation of Gods and Earth family, wherever you may be. Peace to the gods. To the Nat Turner Gun Club, the Huey P. Newton Gun Club family. As well, we want to give you the Black Power fist and say Black Power. To my Christian family, wherever you may be, whatever denomination you call yourself by, if you striving to live the teachings of that mighty black man that is known as Jesus, then we say, praise the Lord. To everyone else who's listening in, if this is your first time, then good evening and welcome. This is the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. And tonight's guest, as I was saying, is a good man, Minister Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, also known as Dr. Neal Jackson, author of this great book, The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger. It's a book that I have sitting right in my hand. It's all used because I've gone through it and read it, and it's great information, great knowledge we'll share with you. Dr. Ahmad will talk to us tonight about how you can purchase this book, and I suggest, brothers and sisters, that you get this book. He's the founder of the Spiritually United African Nation Church, I believe in Richmond, Virginia. And this is a brother who we're going to hear tonight with the subject of Message to the Black Pastor in the Time of War. Are you, meaning the black pastor, the black reverend, the black deacon, in a time of war like we're in, are you responsible for murdering the people? Maybe not physically, but as they say in the world of law, you might be an accessory to murder. So, brother, are you accessories to the murder of the black man and woman of North America by not giving them the knowledge that the Scripture says? Stuff like turn the other cheek. What does that mean? What context was that? You know, if you're, if you have an enemy, feed them. What does that mean, and who and what was that talking about? And just the fact that these white supremacists, not the fact that they're white, but the fact that these white supremacists are killing us today. And we are the ones that have to always take the high road for their benefit, shows that we are still a slave. And many of our pastors and preachers and politicians and many of those that are part of a group called the Boule, yes, I've been holding off on mentioning their name, but we're going to go into it today, if it please Allah. I'm going to mention to those who've never heard of them, a elusive group of black specialists that are part of a fraternity that is considered to be the highest order of those secret fraternities, called the Boule. And who are they protecting and why? We're going to go into it if time permits. You're listening, of course, to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I want to talk to you about why it's called the Nat Turner Library. Brothers and sisters, many years ago, the founder of the Nat Turner Library, a great man, one of the only and the first black books publisher that I've known to continue to work and be in publication of books from the 70s till current. Elder Khalif Khalifa is the founder of the Nat Turner Library itself, as well as the Nat Turner Library. He and his wife, Rita Fard Khalifa, she is no longer with us. She has returned to the ancestors. May Allah be eternally pleased with her. They had the vision of creating the largest black book library here in North America and anywhere on the diaspora of the planet, wherein every black book that was ever published by a black person is in a repository, and they have quite a few. If you've had the fortune of meeting Elder Khalif Khalifa and seeing the Nat Turner Library, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He's not just one who collects books, he also publishes books. I am a man who has been inspired by Elder Khalif Khalifa many years ago. I am a recipient of the Nat Turner Library Book Award a couple of years ago. We have by the way, the Nat Turner Library Book Awards coming up soon. More on that in the future. Stay tuned on the Nat Turner Library radio page for more information on that. And so the Nat Turner Library itself is part of 100 acres of land in Southampton County, commemorating the great black reverend or pastor or black religious leader, if you want to call him that, Nat Turner, the Honorable Nat Turner. He's honorable because what he did was absolutely honorable. I've heard some black leaders say in the past, and some of them very prominent, that Nat Turner was insane, he was crazy. That's because, according to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, when you're a courageous person and you're sitting or dealing with a coward, to a coward, courage is insane. I'll say it again. To a coward, courage is insane. So some of those people who are critical of our brother Nat Turner, they say he was insane, but they're also critical of Denmark Vesey, the great black revolutionary Gabriel Prosser. And so the Nat Turner Library radio show came about as the brainchild of the founder many years ago, and Elder Khalif Khalifa came to me and his son, my good friend Khalifa Muhammad, author of a great book that you should have in your book library. It's called Nation of Islam, Frequently Asked Questions, Nation of Islam, by Khalifa Muhammad. He is sold out as we speak and working on getting the e-book back up. It is a great book. I have it. I suggest you too also get it. This is the chairman of the Nat Turner Library, and I am the executive producer and host of the Nat Turner Library radio show. And so here we are today on February 24th, 2020, still going many years later, talking about the good fight. And so if you want to follow us on the Nat Turner Library radio show, brothers and sisters, how you can do so is real simple. Go to Facebook and type in Nat Turner Library radio show, or just type in Nat Turner Library radio. First and foremost, like the page so that you can become one who receives notifications of when we have events coming up. Go to Instagram, type in Nat_Turner_Library_radio, or you just type in Nat Turner Library Radio. Go to Twitter, and you type in the acronym NTLR-radio. That's NTLR-radio. Go to YouTube and just type in Nat Turner Library Radio, all one word or spaced out if you wish. You can go to Vimeo, which we have some backed up there, which is at vimeo.com/NTLR. Brothers and sisters, if you know someone who needs to be a part of this conversation, because I know for some this may be a controversial subject, for others it's an education. What do we mean by message to the black pastor? What do we mean by are some of them responsible for murdering black people? We're going to discuss that. But a quick preview is, what are you teaching black people in your respective theologies in a time of war when we're under attack? What do you think you should be teaching us? And therein lies what we'll be discussing. Some believe that we're supposed to offer ourselves a living sacrifice to our enemies. We have those that believe no matter what white folk do, we should just sit there and let them do it, and somehow the magician is going to fix us. We have people who actually believe that, you know, if we just be nice and kind, as the rap artist Common once said, to white folk, we extend the hand of love. Maybe this is just a big misunderstanding. Well, let's explore all that. But for those who need to know what Brother Michael feels, if you know me personally, you know how I'm going to say. Go to my site, bromichaelmuhammad.com. Purchase my book. We have hard copies still available, running low. But get the e-book by simply going to Amazon and typing in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman, or you just type in Checkmate and then the words Michael Muhammad, Muhammad. You'll see my book cover, which is a sister who holds her head. She's a chess piece. She's in distress because a black hand is pulling on one side and the white hand pulling on another. This is a 20-year study into the subjugation of the black man and woman of North America and how this has negatively affected our sisters all the way around, as well as the black man as well. We have good information inside that book, including facts, charts, and documented proof of some of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight, including the very origin of the word Jesus. Where did it come from? Because if you and I went into a time machine 2,000 years ago and we said we're looking for my Lord Jesus Christ, no one on the planet would know who you were talking about, because that man didn't exist in the name that you're describing him. We know that the Scripture did not have the name Jesus at that point. I'm sitting next to me a book called the Septuagint with Apocrypha. These are the books of the Scripture that were left out. We're going to discuss all that, but all of this I'm saying to you is in my book, a basic research study, non-collegiate level, into the subjugation of black people. It's called Checkmate, the War for the Black Mind. Anyone you know who's been arguing with you about what we should do, and they talking about, we ought to do this, we ought to do that, tell them to call in 515-605-9762, 515-605-9762 if you're listening live. You're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Coming up at around 7:35 will be the interview with our guest tonight, Minister Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, Dr. Neal Jackson, to discuss traditional Christian doctrine as it relates to the black man and woman of North America, and has it aided in the murder of black people in the world today. Murder meaning, well, we'll explain it, but I'll tell you real quick. If you don't punish someone who's doing something bad, they're going to continue to do it. We'll go more into it at that time of the interview. Maybe if our guest allows, we'll have time for questions from the audience, make them respectful. And please support the Nat Turner Library by buying something on my site. I got T-shirts. We got fragrant oils from around the world. We're shipping all over the country. Thank you for the many who have bought the book and the e-book over the last few weeks. Without your support, there wouldn't be a Nat Turner Library Radio Show. So go to bromichaelmuhammad.com, look at the podcast and stuff, but click on shop. There's something you like there. We got soap, we got lotion, we got hair grease. We got the Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance soap for the black man. If you're allergic to stuff, we got fragrance-free hypoallergenic soap. We got the black charcoal soap. Many of you worried about this disease, as I am. You need charcoal black soap. That's going to cleanse your skin at the same time as purify it. We got that, too. We're shipping all over the country. Get something. Support this show. You're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Yes?
It's time for the news with Sister Tangela.
And so it is, right on cue. It is the news time with Sister Tangela. Sister Tangela, are you there? Sister Tangela, are you there? Well, maybe she's not quite ready for it.
Assalamu alaikum. I was on mute.
Well, alaikum salam. Welcome.
Alaikum salam.
You all right, Sister Tangela?
Yes, sir. Eid Mubarak
right?
to you.
Oh,
yes.
Eid Mubarak. Praise be to Allah. Blessed Eid. We were happy to hear from our teacher and guide this morning.
Yes,
who
we
told
were
us
this morning. Beautiful.
And just let me, Sister Tangela, give a quick reminder to the audience. If you haven't heard, the minister made it very clear that he's not going to be speaking too much more after this July. And the last time you may see or hear him is going to be this 4th of July, if it please of Allah. I'm saying that up front. So please tune in to NOI.org on the 4th of July or around that time. He said he has a message for the world as a warning from our Creator concerning what the time and what must be done right now. That's all I have to say. All right, Sister Tangela, but there's a lot of other news going on out there. What's going on in the news, Sister Tangela?
All right, greetings, family. The first article is from newstime.com. Rwanda deploys robots in COVID-19 fight. The government has launched the use of robots in the fight against COVID-19 in a move aimed at reducing contact between the medics and patients. The move is expected to limit the risk of healthcare workers from contracting the virus. The COVID-19 Treatment Center by the Ministry of Health will support, with support from the United Nations Development Program, the 5 high-tech robots can perform a number of tasks related to COVID-19 management, including mass temperature screenings, delivering food and medications to patients, capturing data, detecting people who are not wearing masks, among others. Made by Zorobots, a Belgian company specializing in robotic solutions, they are designed with various advanced features to support doctors and nurses at designated treatment centers and can also be leveraged into screening sites in the country. According to information from the Ministry of ICT and Innovation, the robots have the capacity to screen between 50 to 150 people per minute, capture both video and audio data, and notify officers on duty about detected abnormalities from timely response and case management. Each robot costs about $3,300. So that's an excellent thing that Rwanda is deploying into their medical facilities, which can really, really cut down the amount of exposures to their healthcare workers. So that's an excellent thing to have.
And what I have to say is this is from Rwanda, right?
Yes.
I had the privilege, brothers and sisters, of speaking with a sister from Rwanda just last summer when I was doing my driver for hire services. And the sister was telling me her mother was murdered and father were murdered during the 1993 situation that was going on in Rwanda, where the Tutsis and the Hutus were battling each other because the Belgium had left them in mental disarray. More about that in my book, by the way. So she told me that, Sister Tangela, that women had to take over many parts of Rwanda, including in the government. And so what they decided to do, she said, over in Rwanda, as a result of this, was to advance technologically and educationally to further advance the country of Rwanda. And here's the product of that. I don't know any other country on the planet that is using robotics to do detection. So shout out to the sisters and brothers in Rwanda.
That's true.
Well, go ahead.
The next article.
You had any other comment on that, Sister Tim?
No, sir. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No,
Praise
sir.
be to Allah. What else you got? Yes, ma'am.
The next article from CBSNews.com. More than 12,000 Catholic churches in the United States applied for PPP loans, and 9,000 got them. As suffering small businesses around the country clamor for much-needed loans from the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, news of permanent national change receiving millions of dollars sparked an outcry among owners of small businesses who have been shut out. Now, many will likely be surprised to learn that between 12,000 and 13,000 of the 17,000 Catholic churches in the U.S. also apply for those same Paycheck Protection Program loans. Around 6,000 Catholic parishes had their applications for federal funding approved in the first round, and around 3,000 have received loans so far in the second round. While most people likely don't think of Catholic churches as small businesses, houses of worship and their affiliate schools are trying to keep employees on their payroll. So that's why they're able to qualify for these PPP loans. Now, 40% of Protestant churches in the U.S. also apply for government assistance offered either through the CARES Act or the Small Business Administration, and 23% of those church pastors reported that their applications were accepted, meaning that 59% of Protestant churches that applied for assistance were also approved. Now, 573 Jewish organizations were also approved for PPP loans with a total value of $276 million. Among that group were 219 synagogues who received just over $50 million in loans. And an additional 390...
Hold on, I'm sorry. You said how many synagogues received how much money?
219 synagogues received over $50 million in loans.
Good God Almighty. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue. Yes, ma'am.
Now, an additional 391 Jewish organizations reported that they had applied for loans and were waiting for government response. That total value in request is at $106 million. Yeah, I know. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, churches, including temples, mosques, synagogues, and other houses of worship, and integrated auxiliaries of churches, and conventions or associations of churches all qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program loans. And they also qualify for EIDL loans as long as they meet the requirements of Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code and all other PPP requirements. Essentially, the requirements for a PP loan are the same whether a business or organization. Churches are automatically granted nonprofit status, so as long as houses of worship employs 500 people or less, it can now request a federal loan for an amount 2.5 times its average monthly payroll. Those loans, plus their 1% interest, will be forgiven by the government as long as 75% of the funds are used to cover payroll expenses in the 8 weeks after the house of worship received the funds. The remaining 25% can be used to pay rent, utilities, insurance, and other operating costs.
So hold on, let me make sure I got this straight. So you got a church, mosque.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Temple, church, mosque, synagogue, or any other house of worship. You can apply for a Paycheck Protection Program as long as you are employing 500 or less employees.
What if you're the only employee?
Use that money. I know, right? That's a good question. But as long
what if you're the only employee?
But as long as your payroll, as long as the funds are being going toward the payroll, is 75% of the funds are covering payroll expenses, then you qualify.
Lord have mercy. I guarantee this, Sister Tangela. I would love to see the statistics of how many black churches, how many black synagogues, how many black temples, how many black anything got any of that money. It's throwing all
any of that money.
So or
even apply for it. Or even though they could apply for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I did some quick math. $240,000 on average to those synagogues that you had mentioned earlier. $240,000. Now, I know the Jew, and I'm saying this with all due respect to Judaism. I know them. I grew up around them, so I can talk about them. They keeping that money in their pocket. That's bonus money for them. Because ain't none of them got no debt like that in no synagogue. Every one of them people in the synagogues is doctors, lawyers, and all that. They got plenty money. Right. They got all that. I mean, I'm talking about the congregants. So they ain't none of them hurting like that. That's extra bonus money, you know. But, you know, Pastor Porkchop and whatnot, you know, down the street, he don't even know that there's money available, and I'm sure they told him, you know, so, you know, so that, with all due respect, you know, we ain't getting none of that money or very little. I love to see how many of the brothers and sisters who actually got a congregation of any type know that
any kind actually apply for, that they know they can even apply for this money and receive funding to help pay their, you know, pay the pastor, pay the pianist, pay the, you know, the person who's the janitor, you know, because these are all employees of the church, you know? Right.
I mean, you know, if you got a small church and there's like 50 people in it, you know, there might be 3 employees, if you want to use that term, you know, in the church.
Right, and that's true.
You know, so yes, ma'am. What else you got for us, Daniel?
The next article is from the HuffPost.com. Tribes were supposed to get $8 billion in COVID-19. They've gotten $0. Tribal governments were supposed to get $8 billion in direct emergency relief from the CARES Act, the $2 trillion COVID-19 stimulus bill that became law on March 27th. More than a month later, they haven't gotten any of it. Part of the reason is that the Treasury Department, which is in charge of distributing that money, has been failing in its dealing with tribes. Another reason stems from a lawsuit over whether Alaska Native corporations are entitled to the money. A federal court agreed to stop funds from going to those corporations for now, which means Treasury has no reason to not funnel money immediately to the 574 federally recognized tribal governments that are struggling with the public health and economic fallout from the coronavirus pandemic. So meanwhile, you got these Catholic churches and synagogues and, Protestant churches, all them getting all this money, but you got a
free
whole
money.
entire, free money. You got a whole entire government of people that have not gotten anything. Nothing.
Right.
And they're
But guess
supposed
what?
to get $8 billion.
And guess what? They're going to want us to pay the tax on that.
Right.
They're going to want the American black man and woman in North America who hasn't really received any benefit from it if you want to look at it, they're going to want us to pay the debt on that, the national debt on that.
Exactly.
I don't understand that logic, but we're going to get with that during the interview a little bit later. Yes, ma'am. What else you got?
The next article is from BusinessInsider.com. Instead of release checks, 4 million Americans will get prepaid debit cards this week, according to the Treasury. The Treasury Department stated that they plan to announce the delivery of millions of remaining relief payments by a prepaid debit card. Treasury and the IRS have been working with to speed up the issue economic income impacts payments to American families. They're sending out these prepaid debit cards, which are secure and easy to use, and will allow Americans to actually receive that money more quickly. Recipients can immediately activate the card and use the cards very safely. Since mid-April, about 140 million Americans have received relief payments totaling $239 billion, mostly by direct deposit. If the IRS didn't have a person's bank account from previous tax returns, submissions, or new online tools, the agency mailed out paper checks. Some federal benefit recipients receive their payments by this direct express card. So about 10 million Americans qualify for payments under the CARES Act but have yet to receive them. The Treasury says about 4 million people will get paid via the prepaid Visa debit cards that are issued by MetBank this week. So hopefully those 4 million people who haven't gotten any kind of relief will be getting it this week via the prepaid debit card. But however, there's still about 10 million people who still haven't gotten anything.
And I got a simple logical question, Sister Tangela. Maybe you can answer it. If the government didn't have the people's address to begin with, what makes them think that this debit card is going to get to them the second time around?
That's a good question.
Welcome to the United States.
Well, the prepaid debit cards are going out to those who the prepaid debit cards are going out to those individuals who, unfortunately, they didn't have any direct deposit information on file, but the IRS did have their address, so they're going to send those checks out. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Prepaid
All
debit
right.
cards out.
What else you got for us?
The next article is from NBCNews.com. Former White House employee who served 11 presidents dies of coronavirus at 91. A former White House butler who served 11 presidents has died at 91 after contracting the coronavirus. Wilson Roosevelt German was one of the White House longest-serving employees. He began his White House career as a cleaner in 1957 during the Eisenhower administration, and then was promoted during the Kennedy presidency. I'm sorry, I'm trying to flip this page. In the early 1990s, German retired from the White House, but he returned to work part-time during the Obama administration. He stopped working a second time in 2012, and then he truly retired. He was born in Seaboard, North Carolina in 1929. He began working at 12 years old to help support his family. The work was mostly field labor on farms requiring Germans to leave school. In the early 1950s, he became one of the millions of African Americans who migrated north to major cities in hope of better work, pay, and living conditions. He arrived alone in D.C., and a short time later, after securing a catering job in Georgetown, he met at one of those parties. He met Eugene Allen, who was a black man already working at the White House, in which the movie The Butler was based upon. So he met him.
I was gonna.
And that's who he was. He was the person who actually got him to come into the White House and apply for work, and got him actually working in the White House.
Okay,
so
I was going to say, the movie The Butler is. I was wondering, is it based upon him or is it based upon somebody else?
No, it was based upon the brother named Eugene Allen, who was the black man who actually got him to start working at the White House. Yeah, so that was amazing that he actually met Eugene Butler, and that's how he actually started as a butler and started working there.
The key thing here is that COVID-19 is real, brothers and sisters.
Yes, it is. It is real. Yeah. And
that's the main theme I see here. People are dying, even the famous, the rich, the poor.
Yeah.
Protect yourself. Don't act like these fools.
Article.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
And the last article goes into how bad COVID-19 is. This article is from Freaks.com. In a separate life, the Detroit pastor and his son died days apart of COVID-19. The Reverend Nathaniel Slappy Sr. and his son Nathaniel Slappy Jr. shared not only a name but also a commitment to serving God, their families, and a wider community. And sadly, that became truth and death. They both died days apart. Now, the son took his father to the hospital. They came to see his father and noticed that his father was weak and was having short of breath. So him and his brother took him to the hospital. And then a week later, Slappy Jr. drove himself to the same hospital with the same similar symptoms, and they both ended up passing only a week apart.
So these are black pastors and black preachers that
had
died
black pastors and preachers, yes.
And one's a father, one's a son.
Father and son, father and son.
They're in Detroit, and they died of COVID-19.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Brothers and sisters, you got to understand something. COVID-19 is real and it's indiscriminate, and it is killing our brothers and our sisters, but our brothers mainly, more than ever before. You are the target, black man. You are the target. So please, mask, distance, stay at home. I don't care if they say they're gonna give you $100,000 to go out and have a party with no mask on. You are the target.
Especially this weekend, this whole Memorial Day weekend. Even now in the news, we're seeing so many people out at the beaches, out and about. They don't have any mask on. This is a disaster. So please, family, if you're going to be out and about, please wear your mask. If you're going to be celebrating this evening please wear your mask. It's Eid celebrations. If you're going to be doing anything tomorrow, please wear a mask. Wash your hands. Keep yourself clean. Don't become a victim of COVID-19.
I like that. Wear your mask. Keep yourself clean. Don't be a victim of COVID-19. I like that. That's a T-shirt. Don't nobody use it now. I want my cut. All right, Sister Tangela. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Tangela, for all that you do to give us that black news. This is the news that we don't always hear, brothers and sisters. So, Sister Tangela, I'm gonna leave you as I greeted you in words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, alaikum salam.
Brothers and sisters, coming up right after these brief messages. Message to the black pastor in a time of war. We got to deal with this. It's circulating. It's been circulating way too long. Black pastor, black reverend, if you are afraid to tell the truth to your people about an enemy that's killing them, you are complicit in the murder of our people. We're going to have proof with that. With a great man, Minister Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, Dr. Neal Jackson, coming up after these messages. You're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.
Attention, please. Attention, please. Final Call Radio is now live. I repeat, Final Call Radio is now live. Final Call Radio is a 24-hour streaming service featuring the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Hear messages from the minister 24 hours a day. Hear news reports and updates from around the country on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Take us everywhere. Log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button. Final Call Radio, Final Call News, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
This is your sister, Angel Muhammad, offering to the public a quality cotton protective washable face mask. It comes in various colors and sizes to fit your style. For more information, please contact me at 937-624-9764 or visit my Instagram page at I Am Learning at Home. This is your sister, Angel Muhammad, offering to the public a quality cotton protective washable face mask. It comes in various colors and sizes to fit your style. For more information, please contact me at 937-624-9764 or visit my Instagram page at I Am Learning at Home.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Bellevue Spa wants to help you with your healthy journey. You can call us at 678-769-5772, or you can check out the Healthy Quest tab on BellevueSpa.com. With the coronavirus running rapid through the countries, we ship nationwide, offering immune-boosting products such as elderberry syrup, sea moss gel and supplements, and don't forget your date syrup. Can all be purchased at BellevueSpa.com, or you can call us at 678-769-5772 to place your order. Sea moss is a great anti-inflammatory. It has anti-cancer properties, 92 of the 103 minerals the body needs to boost your immune, and it aids in weight loss. We call it a superfood. Elderberry is great for colds, cough, builds the immune system. It eases sinus pain, back and leg pain, nerve pain, and chronic fatigue syndrome. Elderberry helps with constipation, hay fever, and allergies. Call Bellevue Spa at 678-769-5772 to place an order or check out our website at BellevueSpa.com, BellejuSpa.com, and check out the Healthy Quest tab.
FinalCall.com. FinalCall.com. One word, FinalCall.com. The award-winning website for the realest and most accurate black news available on the planet. FinalCall.com. Fair, reasonable, accurate, and inclusive. We are a unifying website. FinalCall.com. Go there today.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio. All right, and we're back, brothers and sisters. Message to the black pastor in the time of war. This is the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Special message. We have our brothers, Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim. So we are talking tonight, brothers and sisters, with a man who I've had the pleasure of sitting down talking with for several hours. I was part of a wedding ceremony with my good friend, Khalifa Muhammad, chairman of the Nat Turner Library. He did an excellent, beautiful African wedding ceremony. Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim is author of a book that I came to that day looking to get, and Allah made it apparent that I was to get this book, and I see why. Because as I read it over the last couple of years, this is a man who has the truth about the black struggle. This is a man who is the founder of the Spiritually United African Nation Church in Richmond, if I'm saying it correctly. And so it's a man who's going to discuss to us tonight about some of these pastors, some of these reverends, religious leaders who are afraid to speak the truth, talking about turn the other cheek, all that stuff. I invited Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim here specifically because he had made an excellent post, a compelling post that I agree with about the idea of what do you do in a time of war? What kind of preaching, what kind of leadership should you have in a time of war? If you don't know we're in a war, you have not been listening to the Nat Turner Library radio show. We're getting shot in the street. We're getting murdered outright. We're getting raped and robbed, and we're getting money stolen from us. Sister Tangela, the news consultant, just read all types of stuff, how all these white churches and synagogues getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't even need the money. But let the poor, struggling black pastor or church or reverend or minister need money. You got to fill this out and hope that'll get approved. Well, without further delay, let's invite on to the line to the Nat Turner Library radio show, Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, my brother. I'm here.
Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother. Peace be unto you.
And welcome to the Nat Turner Library radio show. Let me give you the studio applause. You are one that's well worth the time. Dr. Ahmad,
thank you very much, my brother.
You're welcome. I told the audience just now, Dr. Ahmad, that I called you. I get a lot of people who say, hey, brother, I want to come on your show. I want to come on your show. But, I call very few people and say, hey, look, I want you to talk about this because this is something important to me. Well, you are one of those, Brother Ahmad. And so,
well, I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for doing the scholarly work that you do. Before we get started, how can people support your ministry, your work, and if they need to get in contact with you for speaking engagements and whatnot, or they want to have you on program or whatever, how can people do so?
Well, excuse me, brother, they would like to contact us or purchase a copy of one of my books, they can go to suacnation@yahoo.com. That is our email, suacnation@yahoo.com, or they can call or text the number 804-503-6956.
All right, so that's suacnation@yahoo.com, and that's if they. Now, is that the best way to communicate with you directly?
Yes, sir. That would be the best way to communicate with me, or call or text 804-503-6956.
All right, that's good. Now, this wonderful book here, The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger, something that is a very compelling and shocking title, but it is a relevant title.
Sir.
And so how can the audience actually get this book from you?
Well, again, brother, they can go to our email. That would be the best way. That's the suacnation@yahoo.com. They can go there and email us, or they can call or text the number that I gave earlier, which I would give again.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I want to take a moment to read an excerpt, Brother Dr. Ahmad, and then we're going to jump right into this compelling subject from your book. Page 446 of the book, Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger, under the title of Emoja, which is Unity, I believe. Is that correct, Dr. Ahmad?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Under the title of the chapter in this book, The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger by Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, the book is titled under his old name of Dr. Neal Jackson. Page 446, excellent section that leads us right into it. It says in the first delineated chapter of that page, After slavery, our ancestors were not given one thing, not even the freedom they thought they had acquired. Any gatherings of blacks resulted in white mobs shooting and burning black people and their homes. The organizing of the cowardly KKK arose out of white folks fearing that black people would one day unite and afflict them as they had afflicted blacks. The Klan's sole purpose was to make sure the former slave would never develop such thoughts. While the Klan used violence to establish fear in the minds of blacks, the government used a more political approach, divide and conquer. And so, the deaf, dumb, and blind black population was divided by skin tone, hair, religion, politics, education, money, social status, geographical location. Isn't it amazing how we keep these things alive today? This is a quote from page 446 under the chapter Umoja by our guest today. I want to thank you for that insight in this book. It's a well over 500-page book full of value.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So thank you. So let's talk before we get to that clip that I had mentioned to you off air. Let's talk about the subject, and when I called you, when I said, hey, what was that original post and what was the frustration on your mind, so that way we can talk about it and let people understand exactly what's going on.
Yes, sir. Just been thinking, brother, and observing how we as ministers as a whole, not all of us, but quite a few of us, we participate in the death of our people by the message that we put out, what we teach them to do and not to do. If I was a bad person, I committed a murder, and you were present with me, but you did nothing wrong, you become what they call an accomplice to that murder. If you do nothing to prevent me from killing this man, or you do not turn me in afterwards, after seeing the murder take place. But that is what many pastors do. They watch the murder of our people every day, and they sit by and they do nothing. Therefore, they are accomplices to murder. Many preachers preach their people into a grave by giving them the error of the Scripture. Jesus said in the Bible, he said, you err because you do not know the Scripture. Meaning you're in error because you do not have knowledge of what you read. And many pastors lack true knowledge of the Scriptures, and we misquote the words of Jesus.
All right. That is it. That is it. The Honorable Miss Luz Farrakhan, Dr. Ahmad, said not too long ago, and this is a man who loves black people. And he's always, like yourself, like many of us, we're behind the scenes talking with all types of brothers and sisters from different sections of the black diaspora. Some call themselves conscious, whatever that means. I still don't quite know what that means. But, we got Black Panthers, we got Hebrew Israelites, we got more science, we got this church, that church, Christian this, Christian that, Muslim that. We all one family. And we call ourselves by different disciplines, of course, but we're all one family. And behind the scenes, I was telling my wife, I said I grew up, Dr. Ahmad, as a preacher's son. My father was a wonderful man. May Allah be pleased with him. And believe it or not, my father's name was Moses, And so, my grandmother, may Allah be pleased with her, she named all of her children after biblical people, and she named my father Moses. And my father, met Malcolm X back in, I believe, obviously it had to be the 60s, and so he said he met him in New York City. He went to some event. My father was a pastor, or a deacon, if you would, a head deacon of the Seventh-day Adventist faith, and I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. Good, disciplined people. And he told me when I was younger, he met Malcolm, he had lunch with him. And it was coffee, I think. I think it was coffee, he said. My father died when I was 16, so the conversation he had with me was when I was about 12, and that was a long time ago. So I'm trying to pull on memory. But he said Malcolm loved his thinking so much that he wanted him to join the Nation of Islam and become one of the ministers of the nation. Well, that never happened, but here stands Brother Michael Muhammad, my father's son, as a good member of the Nation of Islam, trying to do the work that Malcolm had told my father to do. Praise be to Allah. So in that spirit, Dr. Ahmad, I want to play this clip, and then we'll have some fun with the very statement that was made. Brothers and sisters, if you've listened to the Nat Turner Library radio show, you've heard me say this, but we're going to talk about what goes on behind the scenes. Here's a white preacher about 10 years ago talking to his white audience about why white people deserve violence, and he invokes the name of Malcolm and Dr. King. So what say you on this? It's about 3 minutes long. We're going to come and convene on this after this. All right, hold tight.
Well, it happened again this week, a scene made all too familiar by recent history in the United States. An angry young white man who had serious emotional problems brought an assault rifle, 500 rounds of ammunition into an elementary school. The media has assiduously avoided mentioning the fact that the McNair Discovery Learning Academy just outside of Atlanta is a predominantly black school. And I don't want to imply racial motivation where there is none, and certainly we know that the shooter had very recently threatened to kill his own brother. But I'm just saying that when a crazy white man takes a military-style weapon into a black school, there may be reason to at least ask the question about whether racial rhetoric provoked the event. The now infamous weapon, the AK-47 assault rifle, should not be in the private possession of any citizen. The gun manufacturing business, with their lackey NRA spokespersons and bought and paid for legislators, are more dangerous to the safety of this nation than is Al-Qaeda or any other terrorist organization. They are the enemies of the safety of America. And what is worse, unlike terrorists who wreak mayhem in the name of some ideal, they are doing it for money, which is 1,000 times more disgusting than terrorists who at least mistakenly think that they're serving a noble cause. On this 50th anniversary of the famous Civil Rights March on Washington, D.C., we have been reminded of how many times President Kennedy and others did not want the march to happen because they were certain that 500,000 black people who had suffered the violence of both discrimination and poverty, if brought together in one place on a hot day in the nation's capital, that there would be violence. It was not an unreasonable expectation that in force of numbers, an army of black people in Washington might decide to treat their oppressors as they had been treated for the last 200 years. But it was a nonviolent gathering, led by this nation's most ardent symbol of nonviolent social change, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Now, historically speaking, it must be said that King's wasn't the only voice crying out against white oppression. There was on that day also Malcolm X, and it should never be forgotten that white America was not realistically presented with the choice of keeping the status quo. That wasn't really on the menu. Things were going to change, and they were either going to change in the nonviolent way that Martin Luther King pointed out, or they were going to change in the direction of someone more like Malcolm X, who was going to lead a way to liberation in what would likely be a much more violent transformation. Malcolm X, for most of his public career, called for isolation, for racial segregation, for transformation through a form of retaliation and by force. White America may have deserved Malcolm X's program, but by grace we were given Dr. Martin Luther King's dream of loving reconciliation. And we saw an echo of that grace this week when yet again an angry white young man went into a school with heavy weaponry and a taste for violence.
Now, brothers and sisters, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library radio show interview with Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, calling number 515-605-9762. Dr. Yahyakim, What say you about that particular clip?
Well, brother, it's sad, but it's true. It takes the European to tell us what we already know. He spoke some truth. We were justified, as Malcolm said, to defend ourselves, to fight back. But the European felt that they received grace in Dr. King.
Sure did.
And today we are still using the method of Dr. King, although Dr. King, before he himself was murdered, confessed that he was in error in his way.
Sure did.
Of taking us through a nonviolent struggle.
Yes, sir.
But for some reason, we keep focusing on Dr. King before he realized that error, as if we are afraid to speak out and stand up for what is right. What I would like to do, brother, if you do not mind, I would like to quote from two scriptures that are greatly and erroneously used to teach our people to remain passive and enslaved.
Absolutely.
The first one would come from Matthew chapter 5, verse 39. And it reads, "But I say unto you that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite you on your cheek, turn to him the other cheek." And the other is from Matthew chapter 5, verse 44, where Jesus says, "But I say unto you, love your enemy, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." These two scriptures are used heavily to aid, or shall I say first, used heavily by black preachers to aid in the murder of black people because they are quoting these scriptures in error. Let me explain to you and clear up what Jesus is saying here. All right? First of all, if we read Matthew 5:17, Jesus says this. He said, "Think that I come not to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but only to fulfill." He came to fulfill the prophecies concerning himself, but he said, "I didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets," which means that Exodus 21, when we read that, especially verses 23 through 25, where it says, "And if any mischief, evil follow, then you shall give eye for an eye, life for a life, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot, burning for a burning, wound for a wound, and a stripe for a stripe." That means you will put retribution back on the person that put it on you. Evil must be met with evil. As the European said, the best, you fight fire with fire. We misquote Jesus because what Jesus is saying in the previous verses I just read, we have to remember, in clearing this up, that Jesus said in Matthew 15:24, "I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So those words he spoke, he was only speaking to his people to practice love amongst themselves. He was not speaking to them to bring love to the enemy or to love the enemy or allow the enemy to smite you or persecute you in any manner. So if he only came to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he was only speaking to them. And when brothers and sisters, especially pastors, say, "But he came to save the world, he loved the world," let me quote from John chapter 17, verse 9. He said, "I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine," or yours. He's praying to the Creator. He's praying to the Father. He's praying to God. He said, "I don't pray for the world." He said, "I pray for them whom you have given me." Now, who was given to him? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Those are the only people he prayed for. He didn't come to save the world. He didn't pray for the world. Therefore, he didn't tell his people to love the world. We have to stop this foolish teaching. We have to stop being cowardly in that pulpit, and we have to teach our people how to preserve and save their lives. Now, if brothers and sisters believe in heaven, that's fine. That's their belief if you believe in heaven. But like I teach them, if heaven is out there, heaven is real, heaven is eternal, it's waiting for you. But right now on this planet, while you are living, God wants you to have longevity, peace, and prosperity. So don't rush to die. Live a long and glorious life Preserve the one life that you have. And I really love what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, my brother, when he said that we are not to be what? The aggressor.
Never be
but
the
you
aggressor.
have a divine right. A divine right means a godly right to protect the life that God has given you. It's a sad thing when we stand back and watch the oppressor of our people murder our sons, our daughters, our husbands, our children, our wives, our people, and we do nothing in return. You know, every time I see a murder of our people, I reflect on Dalen Ruth, the young white boy, I believe in South Carolina, who went up in a church and murdered 9 black people. And later on, after they captured him, the family members of these brothers and sisters who were murdered forgave him in the name of Jesus. This foolishness Jesus did not teach.
Come on now, bro.
Jesus did not teach this madness. It was the Catholic Church, and we have to remember, if we study our history, it was the Catholic Church, what they call the papacy, the popes that changed the holy writings of the scriptures to meet their needs, so that they may oppress the world. And still to this day, Brother Michael, they are still revising the Bible to change it to meet their standards, their way of life, and the way they want to control us as a people. That's why you have so many different versions of the Bible. They keep revising it, keep changing it, keep updating it in order to dumb us down. But in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 said there's a time and a season for all things under the sun. And if brothers and sisters read that, the wise man Solomon said there's a time of war and a time of peace, a time to heal and a time to kill. The reason we are in the situation we're in today is because we do not know the season. As seasons change, you have to change. You change with the time and the situation. Right now, the time and the situation is that we are at war. We've been at war for over 400 years, and we have not yet to fight back. A few of us, like the Nat Turners, the Gabriel Prosses, so forth and so on, has risen up, but we have not, as a people, have risen up to fight back this enemy who fights us on a daily basis.
Come on.
I'm tired of watching the news and seeing us march, sing, and hold vigils for innocent black men and women. And brother, I'm going to say this, and I get a little angry when I speak on this issue because it's very, very touching to me. You know, it's a sensitive thing.
Go ahead. But go ahead. This is Nat Turner show.
When a people take your women and your children, and you as a black man, we as black men, do not stand up and fight back, brother, we're nothing but a bunch of damn cowards.
That's right.
The most precious thing that a nation has is its women and children.
Come on.
And they are taking our women and our children daily, and we're doing nothing about it. And let me clarify that for those who do not understand the language or the word, damn means to be cursed. That's why my book is entitled The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger. May God curse the niggers. The niggers don't belong to the black race. Any traitor of the black race, whether he's a minister, layman, whether he's male, female, whether he's young or old, if you're a traitor to the black race, you don't belong to the black race.
Come on, brother.
We put you in a category with the enemy. So like Joshua, like Moses, when they found the traitors amongst them and the enemies amongst the people, they didn't embrace them with love. They got rid of them because Moses knew he couldn't go into the promised land with a bunch of Negroes to take the same foolishness into the promised land. Moses had to get rid of the Negro. So I do not weep when these Negroes who are in the street murdering their people are shot down by the police. I don't run around talking about injustice. No, brother, you have to go down with the enemy. We have to clarify the message of Almighty God. Almighty God, we are God's chosen people. Like you said, brothers and sisters, brother, we come from different religious backgrounds. We have different theological thoughts, but we are one nation, one people, and until we recognize that, the enemy will continue to defeat us.
That's right.
So Jesus didn't come to tell you to allow the enemy to kill you, to rape you, to murder you. He was talking to his own people. He was talking to you and I in a sense. Let's say Minister Farrakhan speaking today, and he said, brothers and sisters, I want you to love one another. Forgive your brother for what he's done against you. He's trying to be a love between you and I.
That's right.
That we may be a nation. But this message was not to the enemy.
Come on.
And we keep misquoting the scriptures and therefore putting hell on ourselves. For instance, I tell people all the time, stop asking God. You know, Negroes like to pray for their government and pray for the president and pray for the leaders of the country. And I tell them all the time, stop praying for your enemy. For your God says, I will do what? He said, I will give you what your heart desire. Whatsoever you ask, I'll give it to me. I'll give it to you. So every time you ask the God to bless your enemies have to be blessed because you as the chosen people put a blessing on them.
Come on, brother. You're speaking the truth.
We got to stop, brother, preaching this madness. And I'm speaking to my fellow brothers of the ministry, pastors, whether you're just a preacher or evangelist or whatever you call yourself. If you're out there claiming you're giving the word of God to your people, if you're not giving it correctly, you are murdering your people. Psychologically and spiritually, you are murdering them. And then when the European kills them or murders them physically, you aided in that murder.
You know, if I may, Minister Ahmad, I want to actually bear witness to what you're saying. If I may take a moment to interject. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Coming up shortly, we're going to have time for questions or comments. If you would like to have a question for either myself or for the guest relative to the subject tonight, with respect, obviously I'll be doing some screening. Call 515-605-9762 if you're listening live, 515-605-9762. If you have any comments after the date of May 24th, 2020, 8 p.m., you can email our brother, Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, at suacnation@yahoo.com. Is that right, Dr. Ahmad?
Yes, sir. That is correct, my brother.
I want to share with you, Dr. Ahmad, the history of the Mother Emanuel Church. You and I may be familiar, but with the audience who are familiar with the murder of our 8 angels who invited this demon, Dylan Storm Roof, pray with them during a prayer service. Yes, the Mother Emanuel Church, brothers and sisters, is the church that was founded by Morris Brown and the great revolutionary Denmark Vesey. Now, Denmark Vesey, for those of us who are not familiar with Denmark Vesey, he was leading a rebellion in Charleston because the white church parishioners wanted nothing to do with black folk. And so they had nearly 2,000 black members, okay? However, Morris Brown, who the university, I believe, is named after, was so afraid of Denmark Vesey and his idea of revolution that he decided to leave that church. And so here's the history. Denmark Vesey was leading what they called a slave revolt. Well, the black man and woman of North America in South Carolina turned him in, some of them, not all. And so he was executed on July 2nd in a secret trial, June 1822. The year was June of 1822. But it's amazing, Dr. Ahmad, that the same church today was the Negro, and I say this with love for those brothers and sisters, the Negro is so scared today. There is a documentary called Emmanuel. It's just called Emmanuel. And my wife and I saw it a few months ago. And they went all through that church and the congregants, everybody except one person talking forgiveness, and it was so amazing to the white people there that they invited one of the pastors at that church to speak around the country telling white folk why black folk forgave them, who were so amazed to this day that black folk ain't rose up and killed every white person in Charleston, South Carolina after that.
Yes, sir.
I have to comment like this as a student, and I am not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I'm just a student in the classroom who's going to get his counseling degree. I got a long ways to go. There's a concept in psychology, Dr. Ahmad, that is called classical conditioning. And for those of you who have an internet, please look it up. It's called classical conditioning. Now, it's been about a couple of years since I had to read this stuff, and I had to do a report on it. But Dr. Ahmad, classical conditioning is a series of reward and punishment systems by which you want to condition the mind of a person by rewarding the things that you like and punishing the things that you don't like about a person. This is what you do to children. You do that to animals, but it conditions human beings. The reason, I'm going to say this on this air, this is what the professionals know. The reason white people keep shooting us is because we have not punished them the way the brain learns.
Come on, brother.
I'll say it again. The reason white people keep shooting us is because we have not punished them the way the human brain is supposed to learn, Dr. Ahmad.
Yes, sir.
That's why God said an eye for an eye, because he's the master psychologist.
Come on, brother.
And I'm going to go deep. The Quran says that retaliation is a prescription from God.
Yes, sir.
So now let's go there. This is the master psychologist, the creator, Allah, God, Jehovah, whatever you want to call him. He knows the brain better. So if you don't retaliate when someone attacks you, an enemy, I'm talking about an enemy, then you are going against God's way of life.
Yes,
so
sir.
That Dylan Storm Roof was supposed to be dragged in the street, his body burned, his ashes buried in the ground, and then we dig it up again and bury him again after he done got killed the first time. That's what was supposed to happen to Dylan Storm Roof. The cracker who just shot our brother Ahmaud Arbery, he's supposed to be ran down in the street just like he did our brother, shot 1,000 times, and then had his body strung up in the street so people can see you don't do this to no black man and woman. You understand what I'm getting at?
I'm with you, my brother. And again, that's why I wrote the book, because it is amazing how we have allowed the devil to condition our minds, just as you're speaking of, because we can kill each other. We'll murder each other at the drop of a hat.
Drop of a hat.
But we will not touch our enemy. With all these guns that we have in the black community alone, with all these little Negroes posting their pictures and videos all over social media, how bad they are and what they'll do. Every time they murder one of us, Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, we can keep the list on, brother. There's so many of us. We don't fire a shot at one white person, brother.
We don't.
But I can say something. I can say something, and another man, my same color and complexion, would shoot me dead just for saying something out of my mouth.
Come on, brother.
But the devil
and then we don't say
your
nothing
brother,
about
your
that.
woman, your babies, and you won't touch them not one time. We are living in, I'm sorry, brother, say that again.
No, go ahead.
We're living in a time, brother, where we are seeing prophecy fulfilled, and this is the fall of America. Revelation chapter 18 talks about the fall of Babylon, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote the book, The Fall of America.
That's right.
The Bible talks about the fall of Babylon. Every minister out there, black, white, red, brown, or yellow, would tell you that the biblical Babylon is the America of today. There's not one that would dispute that. And verse 4, understand this, the revelation of the book of Babylon was to God's people, not to the world. That's another error we make. And when the first verse of 18, the verse 4 of chapter 18 tells God's people, he's speaking directly to them. He said, come out of her, my people.
That's right, brother.
That's a particular people. He said, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin, meaning that you be not caught up in her ways, that we receive not her judgment. And this is a spiritual and mental exodus. And when we drop down to verse 6, it reads like this. He said, come out of her, but first you got to do something. Verse 6 says, reward her as she rewarded you, which translates as punish her as she punished you.
We'll punish you.
And
That's
it goes on to say, put on her double for her evils. Now, here's the God speaking again. You and I agree that the God in both the Bible and Quran tells us an eye for an eye, a nose for a nose, an ear for an ear. Is that right?
That's right.
Meaning, if your enemy cuts off your ear, you cut his ear off. Or as my father taught me and my brothers as children, he said, if somebody punch you in the eye, you better punch them in the eye.
That's right.
That came from my father. My father, like your father, was a pastor.
Come on.
So here's the God telling you from his own words, you put on your enemy a double portion of what she put on you. If we were enslaved for 400 years, brother, we should have them in slavery right now.
Come on, brother. Well, you know.
But see, we're sitting back, brother. We don't want to be God. We use, I'm like you. I make fun of that word conscious because I don't know what it means, and I no longer like to hear brothers and sisters say gods and goddesses anymore because we're surely not acting like gods and goddesses, and that is a truth.
Come on.
Because if we were true gods and goddesses, we would have a ram of which we are to rule over, because that's what a god and a goddess does, rule over a ram.
That's right.
But we are not the people we used to be. Because our ancestors, if we study history, see, we watch too much TV. If we study history, our ancestors actually fought back. Those brothers and sisters that were enslaved was very rebellious. We get the watered-down version of the yes, sir, master, no, sir, master. But when you read true history, they actually were rebellious. That's why they had so many stripes on their back. These brothers and sisters fought back, or they were resistant to what was going on. They didn't want to be enslaved. Today, we want to be enslaved. We like acting like niggas, brother. We go on social media. You got sisters still half naked twerking, and the white man still snatching you up. You're disappearing from the planet, but still you out there showing your bodily parts. You're teaching it to your little children. We showing guns, and we effing each other all over social media and fighting on social media and doing this and doing that. But again, when it comes to the enemy, we will not unify. We will not fight together, stand together, and we will not touch him no matter what he does. Like I said earlier, I'll say it again. When the white man takes your woman and your child, your most precious jewels in your nation, and you do nothing, you're nothing but a ballless chump.
Yeah, you're not even
and
worthy
that's
to
what
live.
Most brothers in America and across the world have become, a bunch of chumps. And if they don't like it, they can see me face to face, brother, because ain't no punk blood running through my veins.
Come on, brother. Come on. Now, you're speaking the truth. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show, May 24th, 2020. We on with Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim, author of the book, The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger. We're talking about the most important subject of the day, message to the black pastor in the time of war. Are you responsible for murdering our people? Great commentary. We want to take a moment, Dr. Ahmad, to see if the audience has any questions or comments. But before I do, I'd like to read a quote from my own book, dealing with Margaret Sanger. Now, for those sisters and brothers who are listening, you may or may not be familiar with Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood and the eugenics program. Eugenics means good genes, okay? Now, she is one that has been hailed, Dr. Ahmad, by both Hillary Clinton and Julian Bond and others in the black church community as such a great woman, and I want to tell you why, since we're talking about black pastors. Now, I want to quote page 201 of my book, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. Okay, when I was doing this research, I often go back, Dr. Ahmad, and look at my research, and I said, wow, I didn't know I dug this up, But
yes, sir.
Margaret Sanger says, and I quote, and I got a quote from the source here, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to read it, and it has to do with our pastors. Margaret Sanger, in a letter to Dr. Clarence Gamble, dated December 19th, 1939, Margaret Sanger exposited her vision for what she called the Negro Project. It's a freshly launched collaboration between the American Birth Control League and Margaret Sanger's Birth Control Clinical Research Bureau. The letter says the following: This is the words of Margaret Sanger. It seems from my experience that while the colored Negro have great respect for white doctors, they can get closer to their own members and more or less lay their cards on the table, which means they're ignorant in superstitions and doubts. Now, here's who she's talking about. These are the words of Margaret Sanger. She said, we should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister, meaning the black preacher, is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. End quote. This is the woman that America hails as the solution to the new America. Brothers and sisters, that is in the book Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind. So many of our preachers, Dr. Ahmad, till this day are compromised. And they're part of a group of Negroes. They're part of a group of Negroes called the Boulets. The Boulets is short in French called boulevard. Boulet is French for vard, short for vineyard. Okay? And this is a fraternity of black successful people, whether they be entertainers, whether they be religious leaders, who are designed in a time of distress to protecting white America. I have a list of these individuals that I've been compiling, not from my opinion, but from their own association. And many of them are prominent people today. Now, I've been holding on to this list of individuals for a while, but I will say this, for the purpose of not being slanderous, I won't give their names in this conversation yet, because I'm going to give them an opportunity to make right in the next few months. But if they do not, they're going to have this list. These individuals, Dr. Ahmad, are individuals that you find, brothers and sisters, who are in some cases preachers, some cases they're politicians. Their goal is to make black America quiet and distracted. These are the black people, some of which are preachers. They don't want to lose, meaning white people, do not want to lose the little America they have today. So whenever some black group gets excited, you're going to find them pop up and saying, look, we need to protest, we need to do this, and that's it. Whereas the real, go ahead, continue, Dr. Ahmad.
I'm just agreeing with you, brother, because, you know, the black preacher, like you say, he's on that list. And I get angry because when people talk about pastors or ministers or preachers, they want to put me in that category because they see us all as the same. And I'm talking about our people, you know, because the black preacher, the black pastor gets a hard time in America. I see why, but it's hard to get them to see I'm not that brother. I'm not that man.
Yeah.
So I agree wholeheartedly because they are hand-picked Negroes. Right.
Now, there are some that I have met over the years that actually want to do good for the people. And therein lies, in the latter part of this, Dr. Ahmad, that we want to give them some advice because, frankly, Dr. Ahmad, the ones who are genuine, who are not part of the boule or part of the problem, they don't know what to say and do. And perhaps you and I can give them some advice on to what scriptures they can pull on during a time of war to help their people in their congregations. I'd like to explore that after we go through this brief thing. We got about 28 minutes. I want to take about 5 minutes to check with the audience, Dr. Ahmad, to see if anybody has any questions or comments, brothers and sisters. So, Dr. Ahmad, I'm going to put you on hold for just one moment. Brothers and sisters, when I come onto the line here, what I want you to do, brothers and sisters, is just simply answer the call and say, hey, look, I have no question or comment, or say, yes, I do. And here's what it is. Give me one question or comment. Make sure it's respectful. And if so, we'll get you on the line. We'll discuss it as brief. We have no more than 2 or 3 minutes per person. You're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Now, what I'm going to do, Brother Ahmad, is I'm going to play a quick clip from student minister Demetric Muhammad. When he came to Atlanta last year, he was talking about these very type of Negroes. And so this is going to play, and when I come back, we're going to go to the next section. Listen to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Hold tight, brothers and sisters.
Forever. Perpetually. I know they say the Muslims, y'all talk about slavery, but slavery was all over the world. That's true. But slavery in other global areas was more or less analogous to an American prison sentence. You had a period of time that you did your service as a slave, and then you were set free. But they call slavery in America the peculiar institution. Kind of like how we say in the streets when we see something we never seen before, we're like, man, where they do that at? When the people around the world heard about how the Americans were getting down, they couldn't believe it. Because a man was a slave, then that man's son was a slave, and that man's son's son was a slave, and his son's son was a slave. Forever. They never had any intention of freeing us. And they made sure that we never understood that that was God's intention for us to be free. The Richmond Enquirer, look at what the Richmond Enquirer had to say. This is in the aftermath of the Nat Turner Rebellion. Said the case of Nat Turner warns us, no black man ought to be permitted to turn preacher throughout the country. The law must be enforced, or the tragedy of Southampton appeals to us in vain. Think over that. You've heard when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan quoted Virginia legislator Henry Berry. Henry Berry said what he said after Nat Turner's rebellion. Henry Berry said, we've closed every avenue by which light may enter the mind of the slave. And if we had the ability, not only would we cut off the avenues for light to come into their mind, we would destroy their mind's ability to even perceive the light in case some more light comes. He says, and if we can do this, our work will be complete. For then they will be on the level of the beasts of the field, and we will be saved. Now pause to reflect on what this state legislator is really saying. Because I know they like to come in the hood and say the hood, you all need to clean up the hood. It's just a place of crime and violence. But do you know, brothers and sisters, the ruling class in this country, they only feel safe and secure when you and I are acting like savages. When you're sober-minded, when you're intelligent, when you appear to be self-respected, when you appear to have some dignity about yourself. They're afraid of that. Now, this is a universal reaction. You'll bear witness to it when I say it. How many of you ever been somewhere, waiting room at an office, a medical office, on a bus or a train, and you happen to be reading something, and a random white person that you don't know from nowhere asks you, hey, buddy, what you got there? What's that you're reading? And you're looking like, who the hell are you? I don't even know you. How do you give a damn about what I'm feeding my mind? They've always feared and considered dangerous knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Now think about how they're reacting to slaves who took up guns and knives and went and killing white people. You would have thought they would outlaw guns and knives being access to slaves. They determined to outlaw the Word of God because they understood Nat Turner and the slave never would have done what they did. They never would have been motivated and inspired to fight for their liberation, because that's what they were doing. See, we have to frame that in the right context. It was not a massacre for massacre's sake. These were enslaved people, oppressed people, fighting for their liberation. Every life has to fight for itself. Every life. But if you ever try to go and step on a roach or kill a mouse, that roach values his little roach life. You might be successful in killing him, but he ain't going to just let you kill him. He's going to run and hide, and I don't know if y'all ever seen the roaches that jump. Maybe I was too far back in the woods. I'm embarrassing myself at this point. But self-preservation is that which is innate and inborn in every life, even the life of an ant or a microbe. Yet they have worked to almost extinguish that desire in you and I. W.B. Du Bois writes in his history of the Negro Church about all of the different states. He said a wave of legislation passed over the South, prohibiting the slaves from learning to read and write, forbidding Negroes to preach, and interfering with Negro religious meetings. Have you ever thought that Minister Farrakhan teaches his followers, don't carry so much as a penknife? You were checked before you came in here today. And he even told us don't even have them in your homes. Yet, the minister is the most hated of all black leaders. Really, he's the most hated figure in America by those who are the rulers of America. Yet, the minister is the most hated of all black leaders. Really, he's the most hated figure in America by those who are the rulers of America. Yet he carries no weapon. You don't find in the Nation of Islam's history where we ever went in and started killing white people or killing Jews. You don't find that in our history nowhere.
All right, brothers and sisters, that was my friend and brother, student minister, Demetric Muhammad of the research team in the Nation of Islam. He came here last year to Atlanta. The name of that lecture, you can find it on YouTube, believe it or not. It's called The Dangerous Word of God. Beautiful lecture, beautiful research. Go to his website at researchminister.com. He wrote a book recently that is a bestseller, But Didn't Y'all Kill Malcolm? He's talking and he's exposing the COINTELPRO, you know, and he has done the research. Dr. Ahmad, he did that research to show exactly what we're talking about tonight, how behind the scenes the federal government not only killed Malcolm X, but many others. And
yes,
so
sir.
get
Absolutely.
that, go to that site, researchminister.com, and buy that book, Didn't Y'all Kill Malcolm, and many others. Support student minister Demetric Muhammad. Yes, sir. No one had any questions. We had a lot of good comments, though. The audience, Dr. Ahmad, there's a brother named David, and a brother named some of your members from the congregation called in. They all were they were sharing. Yeah, well, there's a lot of them on there, so they all were saying thank you for being who you are, and they love you. Brother named David says he loves and misses the church, and he says he loves you, and no one had any questions. So I guess we made a well laid out case tonight.
Well, we give thanks and praise for that, brother.
Well, so what comments do you have in that little clip I played of from Brother Demetric Muhammad, sir?
Very powerful message, brother. It was dynamic. Again, the brother spoke the truth. He told the truth. We just need to heed to it. We know how this government works, brother. There's no secret behind it. But for some reason, you know, in other words, we get together, whether amongst family and friends, and, you know, you are attacked like I'm attacked when we call a white man the devil. But when we get together privately, everyone wants to agree with us.
Right.
When we speak openly, they want to walk away from us because they fear standing in the truth, brother.
Come on.
You know, my message today to my brothers and sisters, as it has been to many others, is what is your purpose for being here? My purpose is to do what I'm doing. And to do what I'm doing, no matter what I face at the crossroads, I cannot allow fear or anything to stop me from doing God's work. We have to stand firm in our call and in our duties. And so many pastors and preachers fail to do that, to stand firm. We either get stopped by our inner fears or we get stopped by that thing, brother, that most of them do fall a victim to, and that is money. They don't want to lose their congregants. They don't want their pay to start slacking. So they give the people what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. The Bible says that, you know, people want to satisfy their itching ears, and the Quran says that they look for those men to give them those dazzling speeches. Well, I'm not here to satisfy their itching ears to give them what they want to hear, and I'm not here to dazzle them. Right. Because truth does not conform to you. You must conform to truth. Yes, but I want to quote also real quickly from Psalm 144, verse 1. And this is David. And David said, "Praise be Yahweh, praise be God, who teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight." David was called a man after God's own heart, meaning he was like unto God. So God does not want us to be passive. God does not want us to be murdered by an enemy no more than he wants us to murder ourselves. But God does want us to fight back when the enemy attacks. This young brother, Brother Ahmad Arbery, was just out jogging. He went into a home being constructed, and he was looking around as people, passers-by, do all across America every day. When they enter communities and see a home being built, I've done it myself. Other people have done it. You go in, you look around, you're looking at the structure of the house, the design of the house, and then he came out. He had on jogging attire, exercise attire. He didn't have anything up under his shirt, and nothing was stolen. He continued on his way jogging. And when you jog, you know that's not at a high speed. The brother was just running for exercise. These crackers saw him making up a lie, stating that they thought he was a thief. No, they just wanted a black man to murder. My father said, and I said this over and over many times in my life, my father said when I was a child, had we lynched the first white man after he lynched the first black man, all this mess would have stopped. Right. Eye for an eye, brother. I'm saying to my brother pastors out there, my brother ministers, evangelists, or whatever name you call yourself, elders, so forth and so on, if you're preaching the word of God to your people, preach it in truth. Stop preaching lies. The Creator said, "The shepherds that lead my people astray shall be destroyed." Now, this is the word to the preachers. God said, if you lie to my people, lead my people astray, I will destroy you. So we must stand up and teach the word of God. We got to go beyond the Greek and the Roman translation and go back to those ancient Semitic tongues, the ancient Semitic languages in which the scriptures were written. And for those who don't know, the Bible was not only written in Hebrew. You'll find a combination of ancient Semitic tongues. The Semitic tongues are Egyptian, Ethiopian, Arabic, Aramaic, Hebrew, Babylonian, Chaldaic, Sumerian, and many others. And if you notice, brother Michael, none of those Semitic languages belongs to the European tongue. Come on, brother. So the people of the Bible were not white people; they were black people. All these people I named were black people of African descent, of the motherland. We stretch from the continent of Africa, we know today, all the way to China. And Africa itself was from Africa through Arabia to India. That was known as Northeastern Africa. We have to understand the history of the people, the time of the people, and the language of the people in order to properly read and teach their Bible, which we're not doing. We're just reading and teaching it from a Greek perspective. This is the lying aspect of the Bible. Yes, sir. You can't teach truth from the enemy's translation. And that's why so many ministers are failing. They're afraid to go beyond the language of their oppressors. and teach their people the truth. But
well, yes, sir. Go ahead.
No, brother. I was just going to say again. I'm just one of them ministers, brother. I'm tired because I'm tired of seeing my people die, and I'm tired of seeing my people led astray.
You should be. You should be tired, as am I. And I think the question that I once had, and this was a private conversation, and believe it or not, I was living in Virginia at the time. And I shared this with a few people. I shared it with my wife. It's the most interesting. It was a pastor. I used to sell final calls down the street.
Yes, sir.
In a section of Norfolk, Virginia called 5 Points. And up the street was 7 or 8 churches up the street from where I was. And they all came to me, meaning the pastors and the leaders of those churches. A couple of them greeted me with peace. A few of them said, "I need Jesus," whatever that meant. You know how people do. They don't see that you doing what they do, so therefore they say you got to be like me. If you ain't like me, then you ain't going to heaven. Whatever that means.
Yes,
so
sir.
I told one pastor, I said, I can't imagine telling somebody that I'm better than they, so therefore if you're not like me, then as far as religion's concerned. And I told this one pastor came to me. And I said, look, let's have this discussion. He kept coming over to me, this one pastor, talking about Jesus is the way, Jesus is the way. I said, okay, well, teach me what Jesus is all about since I don't know Jesus, you said. He started preaching. He pulled over. He started preaching. He started saying, Jesus, and Jesus, I said, okay, brother. I said, do you have a Bible? I said, because I asked him a question. He was just chanting. I don't know what that is. I'm like,
yes, sir.
That's Africa. That we did that in Africa. I told him, we did that to invoke spiritual power. But I said, you're not teaching me anything. I said, so show me. I said, let me help you out. Let me find what Jesus looked like. I said, do you have a Bible so you can tell me what Jesus looked like? And so I'm gonna share with you something humorous. He said, what do you mean what Jesus looked like? I said, you told me I need to find Jesus. I said. So share with me what Jesus looks like so I can find him when I'm looking for him. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
He said, well. I said, hold on, let me help you out, brother. So I pulled out the book in Matthew where Jesus was described as having feet of burnished brass and hair like lamb's wool. I said, hold on, brother. He said, no, that's not what it was talking about. That's not what it's talking about. I said, hold on, okay. Well, let's talk about angels. I said, all right, you don't want me to talk about Jesus, let's talk about angels. So I went to the book of Daniel. I believe it was chapter 8 or chapter 5 where Daniel said he talked with the man who had beryl skin. Beryl is a dark skin, and it turned out this man was an angel giving him the future. So if the Old Testament shows that the angel was black, and the New Testament in the Bible shows Jesus was black, I said, don't you think that God is black? He said, no, God didn't have no color. I said, God don't have no color? So I said, hold on. I said, so brother pastor, I said, you said Jesus is the Son of God. Okay. I said, I'm not disputing that. I said, so let's go there. If Jesus is Son of God, don't he look like his daddy?
That's right.
I said, if Jesus is black, according to the scripture now. He said, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's see-through. I said, Jesus is see-through. He said, I gotta go. I said, so hold on. Wait. I said, hold on, Pastor, why are you running for? I said, you told me to look for Jesus. How am I going to find him if he's see-through? I got to go, young man. I got to go. And he literally, this brother was, in the 60s and 70s. He just ran away, brother Ahmad Yah-Yahkim.
Yes, sir.
And I was trying to make a point to him. I said, as a student of the Nation of Islam, we're taught that the black man being the original man is the original descendant of the God. In fact, when we look at in the very beginning of my book, chapter 1, 2, and 3, I deal with the science of the history of the universe according to NASA. NASA says the most prevalent substance in the universe is black matter. That's what NASA says. Okay?
That's right.
So if God is everything, then what do you think he is? Is he white? He can't be white.
No, sir.
He would have to be black because the universe is, according to the scientists of this world, the universe is number one substance in the universe is what they call black matter. They said there's so much black matter in the universe that they can't even see the beginning of it, nor can they see the end of it, they said. You see? So if God is everything and he created everything, which I'm not disagreeing with that, and everything is black in the universe, how so can we say that God is other than black? It don't make sense to me, you know.
Yes, sir.
So go ahead, continue what you're saying. Yes, sir.
No, you continue, bro.
Well, so I'm saying that to the black pastors who are listening and would be listening. That's important because we are the people of God, is what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
And we're being murdered. And as Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim says, the statements that Jesus was making were to the people of God amongst themselves.
That's
so
right.
Dr. Ahmad, I done had a lot of people. Just say I'm a Muslim. That's all I got to do is say I'm a Muslim. And I done had more people hate me who are black just for saying I'm a Muslim, but go to the cracker, and I can use that word because he was a cracker. He go to the cracker and love him more so than their own brother who's trying to love him just because I'm other than what the enemy told them. These people are, according to Scripture, these are hypocrites. And so I want to read one more section of my book, and then I want to give you some final comments, and then we'll wrap it up. We got about 7 minutes. On page 83 of my book, brothers and sisters, please go to Amazon and buy the ebook if you want it right now, or go ahead into my site, bromichaelmuhammad.com, and buy it. Brothers and sisters, I got about 50 of them left. I'm signing them the next 50, but if you want to buy the ebook version and download it, it's only $10. Go to Amazon.com, type in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. Here's what I have on page 83, Dr. Ahmad.
Yes, sir.
According to Dr. Harold Brackman from the Simon Wiesenthal Center, he says, there is no denying that the Babylonian Talmud was the first source to read of negrophobic content, where the Talmud glosses over and makes blackness a progeny, meaning for Ham. In other words, origin of black skin being a curse didn't come from no God. It came from the Babylonian Talmud, a Jewish story. These same rabbis taught that Africans had kinky hair, swelled lips, and elongated members, also known as penises. So I'm just quoting myself. Now, according to the Babylonian Talmud, this is where Jesus was listed in what color he was. This is in page 84 of my book. They called Mary a black whore, and so if Mary was a dark-skinned black whore, then her son, Jesus, must have been a black man. The people of God, brothers and sisters, are you and I. That isn't hate teaching. That's not hate teaching. That's the reality. Jesus is not a see-through God. God is not a see-through God. Jesus and Muhammad and all these people had races. Truly, God don't care nothing about race, but when he's talking about his people, he's talking about you and me.
That's right.
So I wanted to leave that as an open statement. Brothers and sisters, if you have any comments on that, please go to Facebook, because I want you to understand, if you're listening to this on podcast, this isn't hate teaching. This has to let you understand that demons like the McMichaels who killed Ahmaud Arbery are not the people of God. The white pastor that he goes to church with says these are good Christians. No, those are good demons.
Yes, sir.
They ain't no type of Christian.
Yes, sir.
Brother,
I want to say, brother,
I got 4 minutes to give you. Listening. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Just to let them know, I do have a copy of your book. Please get that book. Go to Brother Michael Muhammad's page and get his book. It's a dynamic book. You need to read it.
Well, thank you, beloved. I appreciate that. So we got 4 minutes, and I want to give you those 4 minutes to close out and tell us what you want to tell us, how we can get in contact with you, again, how you can buy your book, the whole nine.
First of all, brother, real quickly, let me say this. Brothers and sisters, go to the book of Genesis, read that 3rd chapter, and you'll find that God speaking to the man, the woman after the fall, and to the serpent. And God tells the woman, he said, I will put enmity, a natural hatred. That's what enmity means. a natural hatred between your seed and the serpent seed. You have to understand, black man and black woman, that we are the children of God. We're God's children walking the earth. And if God has children walking the earth, the serpent, the devil, not a snake, but a being, he has children walking the earth. So we cannot love these serpents who keep murdering us every day. And Brother Michael Muhammad just told you that the Jewish Talmud does reveal the true color of Christ and his mother. And I also have a book called The Blue-Eyed Beast.
That's right.
Which dispels that Hamitic curse, the Kemetic curse, as we call it. They call it Hamitic, but it's Kemetic. It destroys that, and you'll find that every curse in the Bible is that of a man or a woman turning white or leprous and not turning black. They were originally black people. So The Blue-Eyed Beast is that book, and The Condemnation of the Goddamn Nigger is my other book. And again, if you would like to get either copy, you can email the SUACNation@yahoo.com, or you can call or text 804-503-6956. And if you are in the Richmond area or nearby, our services are every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Our address is 7825 Midlothian Turnpike, Suite 114, North Chesterfield, Virginia, 23235. We're in the 60 West Shopping Center. That's 7825 Midlothian Turnpike, Suite 114. Pastors, if you're listening in, it's time for us to teach our people the truth. Stop teaching these European lies. We're going to hold you accountable. Brother Michael Muhammad said he has a list of certain names, but Brother Yahyakim will call you out. I'm bold enough, brother. I will call you out directly. You can deal with me as you please.
Come on.
I have God on my side. I got the whole arm on, brother. I'm not ready to fight this battle. My life is for my God and my people. So listen up. Let us unite. Let us come together. Let us love each other. We're not the enemy. Stop fighting yourselves. The enemy is on the outside of the house. You don't kill your brothers and sisters on the inside.
Come on.
Brother, I just want to give you thanks again. I respect you greatly, much. You're doing a dynamic work, and I look forward to meeting with you again and working with you again, and hopefully and prayerfully sometime soon we can have you come up and you can speak for us.
Oh, well, thank you. I would be honored. And thank you for the invitation, Dr. Ahmad Yahyakim. And I would say this, yes, brother, we love you here at the Nat Turner Library, my family as well, you and yours. We love you. We love what you're doing. We love your writing. And I need to get the Blue-Eyed Beast because I gave a copy that I had a few years ago to somebody, and they didn't give it back. So I need to go get another one. And
don't you worry about that. I'm going to gift it to you.
Oh, praises due to Allah. Well, we'll talk off air and get that. Dr. Ahmad, we thank you. We thank you. Let me give you the Nat Turner Library applause. May Allah continue to bless you and your family. Asante. And I'm supposed to leave as I greeted you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother.
Brothers and sisters, that was Dr. Ahmad Yah-Yahkim. Good brother, good soldier for the one creating God. Somebody who I recommend that you get those two books. I give away books a lot, but it gets costly nowadays, so I tell people to go get it themselves, And so this book here, The Condemnation of Goddamn Nigger, I'm not giving nobody this copy. You go ahead and get your own from Dr. Ahmad. But go ahead and get my book too, brothers and sisters, and next week, backed by popular demand, or blacked by popular demand, on Thursday, May 28th. Here he is again. Biomedical research scientist, Brother Victor Muhammad, will be in the building, brothers and sisters. Nature's V, Health at its Best, lsow.org. They'll be here to talk about, does obedience to God eliminate the need for vaccination? Does obedience to God eliminate the need for vaccinations? Brother Victor Muhammad will be in the building right here, same black channel, Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, go to bromichaelmuhammad.com. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You're listening to Nat Turner Library Radio Show, brothers and sisters. May Allah continue to bless you all. Love you. Assalamu alaikum.